Hey everyone, welcome to some video coverage of the public test servers, and what I'm going to do here is just do a general overview of the changes they're implementing into the public test server. There's no guarantee that all of these, or really any of these, are going to make it to the actual beta servers, but what I do is I'll just cover the changes here for people that are curious, for people that just don't have the time to go and look through the actual PTS. So if you can see here, first thing, the shop is actually changed up, and what they're doing here, as you can see, these are your two active slots. Those are the same, but they're actually making the items that used to be up here, these up here if you follow my cursor, these are now special items, which means that none of the stats will be coming from these items. These are actually items, if you look here, you look at the Soul Eater, it only applies the aura. Only the passive that you get from the tier 3 of the item is applied from buying these. The rest of the stats you actually have to buy separately. So now you see here, there's a list of all the stats. You actually pay a set amount of gold that increases every time you purchase it, and that increases that stat for that time. So you can see it's kind of like playing, I don't know, it's like a role-playing game, like a Skyrim, any of the TES games, or like Dark Souls or anything like that. You're actually paying for individual stats themselves. Now, there are a lot of implications that come out of this, and I'll probably go over that in another video, but first I just want to cover all the differences here. You can see that these all are priced based on what they provide. You can see that the magical power and physical power actually have a very increased cost versus other things like physical protection is low. And what happens is every time you purchase one, it will go up by a static 10% of the very first purchase price. So all these first purchase prices here, 10% of this is what it increases by every time. So 100, 10% of 100 is 10. Every time I purchase physical protection plus 5, it will go up by 10 gold every time. You can see it goes to 110, 120, 130, 140, and it continues on in that fashion. Same thing for other things. If they're more expensive and more valuable, they will go up by 10% of the original purchase price. Here 400 would be 40, so 440, 480, and then 520. You see I run out of gold here. So now that increases my physical power by 10 every time I increase it, but it's costly. It's very, very costly. So that's kind of how this works here, and there's a lot that goes into this. This is a very, very drastic change. There's a lot of things that go into this, and I'll be going to a lot of probably some number crunching and figuring things out. And I don't really have an opinion on this yet because it's just so different. My first initial reaction is that I don't like it. But I would need some time. Probably if this went live, I would need probably about a week of just playing with it, testing with it, and becoming familiar with it and actually giving it a chance before I started judging it. So I'm not going to go into any opinions on what if this is good or not. I'm just going to be covering the things here. Next thing, as you can see at the top corner of the screen, if you guys are familiar with this bar up here, there's actually an extra stat here, which is called focus. You have your physical power, you have your magical power, and then you have your focus. And what this does is this will increase slow durations, stun durations, and other utility or support type roles. You can see here gods hitting a wall are stunned for 1 second, and this green color, blue is generally for magic increase, physical is orange, and then green here is going to be focus. So if I get more focus, I can increase the amount of stun duration here. Same thing for the slow, and then also increase support or utility type ability, increasing my base attack damage to people that are standing in my sands. That's also focus, and then also here my passive is based on focus. So there's a lot of things you can do, and I think what the reason this is brought about is because of characters like Hell, where if you get a lot of magic power, you're going for damage. It'll also increase your healing. Same thing for Ra, it'll increase your healing. And then there's just so many gods that can scale really, really quickly, and they just get out of hand very, very quickly. And as they become stronger, they also become more heavy in utility as well. Another thing to note here is these special items have level caps. These level caps are subject to change. These specific, you see it's 5, 8, 13, 15, 18, and 20. These are subject to change. These levels might change. But what this does is it prevents people from scaling too quickly. A lot of times you'll be sitting in your lane, you're like, yes, I just finished my boots. And then all of a sudden someone from middle lane comes over with, 3.5 completed items and a bunch of gold. So they have they're up to here, and you have no way of keeping up with that. So this just caps people out from scaling too quickly. Obviously what they're buying is very cheap. Let me see if I can go to the items here. You can see how the 800 gold for the passive from Pythagram's Piece, and all these are pretty relative. I mean, I think 100 or 1,000 gold is the maximum for these items. So you'll be getting the passive, just that, no stats from it. So it wouldn't be too much of a commitment to get these slot items. It just prevents them from getting these effective passives that are really, really strong for the items themselves. Obviously, if they're capped and they're not at these levels yet, they'll just go over to the stats and they'll buy out more stats. They're like, hey, I want some magical protection. They put some into that. You can see also shows the cap here. This is the cap in brackets, and then a bar graph showing you physical representation version of that, so you'll be able to see how much it goes. And obviously this also helps scaling in the late game, like late game, more advanced placement type things, where you can just when you're full up on special items, you can keep getting more stats as the game goes on. Let's see, there's also new items as well. I can cover that as well. First off, in the auras, there is a Bracer of Replenishment, which provides 20 HP 5 and 10 MP 5 to allies within 30 feet. It's an aura item that gives health regeneration and mana regeneration. In defense, there is a Bulwark of Hope, which when you're below 25% health, activates a shield that reduces damage by half for 2 seconds. This has a cooldown of 1 minute. So every time you get really low, you'll get a shield which reduces all income damage by half, which is very, very strong for tanks and could be utilized for certain characters as well. And there's a bunch of items in the physical selection. This is Demonic Grip, which is also listed under magic damage. Basically, every time you land a basic attack, you reduce your target's magical protection by 7%. This will also add an additional static 5 points for 3 seconds, and this will stack up to 3 stacks. This is listed in magic as well. There's another one that goes down here, Rage. This is a stacking crit chance modifier. It increases your crit chance by 5% when you hit, and then don't crit. So if every time you don't crit, you have a higher chance of critting the next time you attack. This resets every time you crit, so this just guarantees a crit. This is pretty good on Artemis, who has stacking crit as well. Hydra's Lament. Using an ability gives your next attack within 2 seconds an additional 30% of your physical power as damage. So this is kind of like an on-hit after use ability type item. This is going to be really, really strong for a lot of characters, kind of like On Her, the character I'm playing right now. I'm sure that'd be really, really powerful for one-use abilities like stun into a wall and then be able to use this for extra damage. And then there should be... Yes, Transcendence. This is a item which will give you 10 mana per minion kill, and this will also give you 2% of your mana converted to attack damage. This is going to be good for characters like Bacchus, who use a lot of items or abilities. A Chug ability will allow you to give you stacking mana, but also give you 2% of your mana converted to attack damage. So that's really, really strong there. There's also the Eye of Retaliation, which will gain you 1 additional attack damage per 2% of missing health. This is a lot like one of the items in Magic, which will give you magic damage. The lower you get, the more damage you do in physical damage. And the other item here is going to be down here. It's called Bancroft's Talon. This is the exact same thing. This is analogous to the item I just listed. This gives you 1 magic power per 1% of missing health. I'm really glad that they put this on a percentage, because this could get out of hand if it was static. You can get a lot of HP and just be like kind of a brawler magic dealer. So if you have, obviously 99% missing HP, you'd have 99 extra magic power. Obviously it would be impossible to have 100 bonus magic power because you'd be dead. Other than that, there's not much else going on here. Obviously, this is not a small change. This is huge, and I'll probably make a separate video going over the implications of this after I go through some gold listings, how much it costs compared to what would be buying the actual item and stuff like that. But I just wanted to make sure that I covered all the changes that are going into this PTS and possibly the ones that are going live. I encourage all of you, if you guys are curious, to hop in and try these changes out. Look out to see what you want, what you enjoy, and how things are changing for you. And definitely go ahead and put in your feedback on the survey that they have listed for the PTS, because this is a pretty big change. And I think what they're doing is they're just trying to do their drastic changes for the PTS and then seeing how people like it, and now's the time to experiment. So definitely, guys, if you hate these changes a lot, give them a try, and if you still hate them, go ahead and put that feedback in. But other than that, my name is Driver. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.